Welcome to Human Potential at Work, the show where we explore social impact, inclusion, and empowerment of everyone, including persons with disabilities. Get ready to be inspired, hear success stories, and learn tips and principles for bringing out the best in everyone.
Hello, everyone. This is Debra, and you are watching or listening to Human Potential at Work, and we really appreciate you listening to the program. Today, my guest is Crystal Rivera. She's the Program Officer of Special Projects for New York City Department of Consumer Affairs, which is part of the Office of the Financial Empowerment. And there's a lot of really cool things happening in New York City. They seem to be one of the most accessible cities in the world, and I'm just very proud of all the work that they're doing over there. So today we're talking about financial. How do we make sure that everybody can be included in financial, the biggest sense of that word, financial prosperity, financial banking, and everything like that. And so Crystal has shown a lot of leadership in this particular topic, and we're really honored to have her on the program today. So Crystal, welcome to the program. Do you mind telling the audience a little bit more about yourself?
Thank you for having me, Debra. Yes, my name is Crystal Rivera, and as Debra mentioned, I am a program officer for special projects, and the special project I particularly work under is Empowered NYC. I have been doing disability rights advocacy and disability rights work for 10 plus years with Empowered NYC. I have been in this initiative for about a year and a half. My work is basically um, community engagement and outreach and program management under Empowered NYC.
And so how did you get in this work, Crystal?
So, first off, I am a person with a disability, so disability work is very important to me, and making changes in the world of the disability community. I started working and having an interest in disability issues in college when I started a disability club for students with disabilities to find out what services were available for them and how to access those services. And I continued doing this work through volunteer work. And then I worked for Independent Living Center for 5 years in many roles. Particularly, it was Bronx Independent Living Services. And then I continued to do this work on a state level. So I am a serving member of the New York State Independent Living Council. Um, and so that is particularly my background. And Empowered NYC uh, came right in the nick of time. And I enjoy this work and helping people with disabilities become financially empowered through education and free financial counseling.
Wow, you have a really impressive background. We thank you for all of your leadership. We need more leaders like you. So
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for everything you're doing. And obviously, you're having an impact. So congratulations on that too. So tell us more about the Empowered NYC partnership and how it came together. I know it's an important initiative in New York City, but once again, we're seeing some really, really cool, powerful programs coming out of New York City. So congratulations to everybody in New York for that too.
And thank you so much. So Empowered NYC came from an idea in 2017. So the of Financial Empowerment does this work already through our financial empowerment centers. We have been doing financial counseling for about 11 years now, and we wanted to better serve New Yorkers with disabilities. So we teamed up with the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities, National Disability Institute, City Community Development, the Mayor's Fund to Advance New York City, and an advisory board of wonderful disability groups and organizations to form Empower NYC.
Oh, that's impressive. And I love that that city's involved. I know I was blessed to go and speak to city to a lot of their executives, and they're very committed to including people with disabilities. And I applaud any corporate brand that is including us. And so I love that they're really engaged in this conversation. So
Yes, absolutely.
So at the start of this program, I know that the project team was organized and made sure that the community was fully involved, which is one reason why you're involved with this, and so many of these other wonderful groups that are involved too. Um, and so, why do you think it was so important for, you know, for in the first place, leaders with disabilities to join these conversations, but also to make sure that our community, the community of people with disabilities, are financially empowered? And I know that goes, well, of course, we need to be financially empowered, but the reality is often people are not.
Hmm. So, our thoughts are that we wanted to create an inclusive program where everyone could be involved. So, in order to do so, we needed the experts in the disability community to be a part of the conversation. So, we wanted to include them, and that's why we built such a great working group and advisory board of um, basically disability experts to help us build a powerful program. And as far as financial empowerment, we feel that that is a big step to help people not only understand their money, but feel more empowered in making decisions regarding their money. And that also lends to people becoming more independent and more confident and being able to pursue goals, work related and financially related.
I know I have that I talk about her often on the program, but I have a daughter with Down syndrome. And when she was in school, they were trying to teach her math and money and financial, but it was just something that she, probably the way her brain works, she just doesn't understand the money aspect. And I remember you were talking about independent living earlier, and she actually moved out on her own. And she's in an apartment with another young woman that another woman that has disabilities, and then she's has staff that supports them. And I remember when she was saying she was going to move out, she said, well, I don't need any help, I don't need staff, I don't need anybody to help me. And I said, well, how are you going to, eat and cook your meals? And she said, well, I'll just go to, you know I she loves IHOP and Denny's, and I'll just go there, or Mexican restaurants. I'll just go there for every meals. And I'm like, okay, but how are you going to pay for those meals? Oh, with my credit card. Okay. But then there's, how are you going to, right. So she just still, and that's okay. Some people aren't going to understand, but it's something that I wish that we had here in Virginia, because financial empowerment is a very, very important part of our lives, especially like you mentioned, if we want to be independent. And so tell us more about how have you personally got involved with this?
So I'm not only like the program officer. So what I do for the program, I do community outreach and engagement for the program. I also supervise some uh, service deliveries and program management aspects of the program. But I am also a client, and I did this for particular reasons because I wanted to better understand the program from an inside perspective and not only from a program management perspective. I have attended over 150 events where I have reached close to 1,200 individuals with disabilities. And as I was going out into the community, I noticed that they would look at me as a person speaking to them from the city, and I wanted to speak to them as a client with the experience. And gratefully, I was able to have a very special reason to do so. I was engaged to be married in 2018, and as you guys may know, weddings are very expensive and very stressful expense. So I wanted to go to a financial counselor to start from the beginning of how I would plan and how I would manage this big financial expense. And I was happy to see that the financial counselors were able to sit with me and go through a financial health assessment and speak to me about my credit report. They pulled it for me. They went through it one by one with me. They were able to help me develop a plan to have a savings goal. And I'm happy to report that 6 sessions later, I am halfway towards my savings goal of being able to pay for my wedding on my own with my fiance, and also being able to do it stress free. So
Wow,
these
that's
are the type
amazing.
of things Empowered NYC counselors can help clients with. They're also able to help clients with their particular goals. So it doesn't matter how small the goal is or how large. They are able to help them go through it step by step with them and provide the guidance and education for these people to do. Oftentimes, what people with disabilities feel is out of reach, these counselors are able to explain and help them understand so that it feels possible.
Right. And it's a big topic. I remember when my daughter once again wanted to move out. I said, well, and this was years ago. She was she was asking to move out. And I said, okay, but there's a lot of moving parts, one of them financial. And so we went to our credit union. We bank with a credit union in Virginia, and we went and we sat down with them, and they talked to my daughter about her credit score. And at the time, she had no credit. She didn't have bad credit. She had no credit. So they worked with her. And I remember they started with a little line of credit, and then they just helped her. And it was interesting. My son is engaged as well. And he was engaged, the woman he's engaged to, she was the same way. She had no credit. And I said, go there and help them, because they know what we need to do. And there are a lot of different moving parts. And like you said, you wanted to, get your hands around, your marriage fund, your wedding fund, so that you can do that. And you didn't want to go in debt to do that. And so it is a really big topic. And I think often, Crystal, people don't even know where to begin.
Mm.
And they sometimes assume someone like my daughter, who maybe she doesn't understand some of the pieces of it, that don't even bother, which I don't think is true, because even when the family support you, you need to know this is a big topic.
Absolutely. Financial empowerment is important throughout the whole life of the person with the disability. So if you kind of sweep it under the rug, it
Mhm.
won't help. So what we try to do is bring it out and help from the budgeting aspect to the saving aspect to repairing the credit to building credit to answering questions about benefits and work incentives. We try to be well rounded and help them in every aspect of their financial life.
Right. And if you want to be independent, this is something you have to do no matter who you are. No
Mm-hmm.
matter who you are, we have to understand how finances work. And there's very specific rules. I wish City had bank branches here where I live, because I would totally go with them, because I like corporate brands that support our community. And so I like that they've been so active, and really they've been really good about on social media with us, and joined the other groups to make sure we all can see what's happening in New York City. And I'm also hopeful that maybe this will expand nationally throughout the United States as well, because it's such a critical program.
Mm-hmm. So Empowered NYC is the first of the empowered cities. So it will be in multiple cities.
Yay.
Yeah,
So what have you decided what cities you're expanding to, or is that still in queue?
that's still in the works right now,
Okay.
but
I
it will
vote
be
for
available.
Richmond. Oh, sorry.
It will be available.
Yeah, well, it's such an important program in that I haven't heard of many of these programs. And so I don't know of programs like this, but I think they're very, very critical.
Yes.
So how has how has people with disabilities in New York responded to this program?
So they have responded very well. Um, is like you said, it's the first of its kind. So sometimes they don't know like where to begin with the questions, but they are very excited to have someone there to coach them and someone there that can understand these complex questions and help them get through it. Because sometimes all you need is that trusted individual that has the knowledge to give you the confidence to be able to learn more and more as you go.
Well said. Well said. So, so as you started the program and y'all walked the program and you're the program manager, what were the goals that you wanted to achieve? So I'm going to ask you two questions and I'll ask them both and let you think about it. So I'm curious, what were the goals? And then also, what sort of surprised you? Because you know how it works. You think, oh, we're going to definitely go just in this one direction. And then you start doing it and you're like, oh, okay. And you tweak it along the way. So tell us more about the journey.
Well, the journey was particularly exciting. We got to, in the beginning, go and speak to the community. So we did community input sessions in all five boroughs where we heard from people with disabilities themselves and how they felt becoming financially empowered would entail. So we got a lot of common answers, like from people. Basically, they wanted to be able to manage their money without worrying about what uh, they would have to um, learn. They wanted to be able to learn how to budget, learn how to save appropriately. They wanted to learn more about credit. They wanted to be able to go on vacations, socialize with friends and family, basic needs that people with or without disabilities would want to do. They also had a lot of questions about going back to work. They wanted to know how to report appropriately, how to manage their benefits, as well as any additional incomes they might have. So that was pretty exciting. And along the road, we have learned many lessons about accessibility and about things like that. So oftentimes we just want to improve and make the program as inclusive as can be. And those are one of the particular lessons that I have recalled. Just people being happy that this service is available. Like they would never think the goals that they are able to accomplish could be accomplished financially. So that was one of the good lessons that I have learned, that something as stressful as finances could bring happiness to people.
Which is really cool too. And I know that one thing as an employer, I employ some very talented people, individuals with disabilities, and I have been doing it for a long time. I've been an employer of technologists with disabilities and people with disabilities for many years. And at the beginning it was really sort of scary for me because I found that some of the employees that were working for me, if I paid them over a certain amount of money, they got penalized. And they were some of them were living in nursing homes, and they were living in independent living situations and things. And so of course we had the ABLE Act come along, thank goodness, and the ABLE Act helped a lot because we some of our laws with very good intentions accidentally are forcing people to live below the poverty lines.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they disenfranchise. They're supposed to help and they actually disenfranchise. So that's why I think in a program like Empowered NYC, it needs to be everywhere. And then there are even things like you're saying, accessibility and the reality of disability um, people being disenfranchised just because they have a disability. And I have an employee that works for me in the Philippines, and she happens to be a very, very talented woman, and she also happens to be blind. She has gone to multiple banks in the Philippines to open up a banking account, and they will not let her open a bank account because she's blind. And I said, well, go to one of the international banks because this is ridiculous. People with disabilities should be able to bank and get their financial needs met. And so she said, I did. So she actually recently gave me the names of the international banks that she went with. And I'm going to work with those international banks and let them know that this is happening in the Philippines. But the reality is, people are still being disenfranchised and they have stigmas put against them. And so programs like Empowered NYC are really critical because I think a lot of people don't realize still what people with disabilities have to go through just to try to be independent. There are so many moving parts that are broken, and that's why I really commend what you're doing in New York. city because these are big issues that get in the way of us being independent.
Absolutely, Deborah. We have encountered those issues along the way, but we are happy to say that our counselors have had 90 plus training, 90 plus hours of training to understand these myths and these things that are around the benefit system. They have learned about uh, different programs and how they relate to the person with the disability, so they could be sort of like a myth buster if per se, and they could help people understand what's factual and what's fiction, because there are always a lot of rumors in the disability community about what can be done financially and what cannot be done. And I'm happy to say that the financial counselors have taken the extra steps and learning about these programs, and they are able to demystify this
Mhm.
complex system for the person with a disability.
And and that is just, I can't tell you how big of a gift that is. And I'm sure many people that are listening to this program understand how powerful this is, because there's just so many moving parts, first of all, to our entire lives. You know, my daughter's 32. She wanted to be independent. She wanted to be on her own. She wants to manage her own money, and having a group like Empowered NYC there to support us, I think would have been invaluable. Unfortunately, we don't have it here. And so we just muddled our way through it, just like as an employer, I muddled my way through it. But I see this as being very valuable to employers too, because I find that the corporations, certainly the corporations that I'm working with, they really do want to employ people with disabilities and all different types of disabilities, visible, invisible. But there are a lot of moving parts that people don't understand. And so, how many counselors do y'all have?
We have about 8 counselors in total.
Wow. Wow. Congratulations. That's amazing. These people must be so talented now, because there's so many moving parts.
Yeah, they are very talented, and also the main thing that I appreciate to them, they are very hardworking and compassionate individuals.
Oh. Empathetic. Empathy is a beautiful word, is a beautiful word. Um, so, what would you like to see Empowered NYC achieve next, besides coming to Virginia? Oh, sorry, that's not about me. I'm sorry.
I would just like to, I would like Empowered NYC to continue empowering the lives of New Yorkers with disabilities and their families, because I do want to point out that this is also intended for the families of the people with the disabilities as well. They qualify for services. As long as you are financially assisting the person with the disability, you can make an appointment, and we do not require documentation or proof of disability, as long as you self-report as a person with a disability. And when I do say family, I do mean a person that is trusted. They do not have to be blood relation. um, we just want to make it more inclusive and available for everyone to partake who is involved with the person with the disability.
I know that we agreed to some questions before the show, and not this one that I'm about to give you, but it seems like y'all have learned so much from this program. Do you think in the future that you might take some of this knowledge and put it online so that those of us that aren't in New York City could benefit from all this amazing knowledge that you're creating? I work with understood.org that's in New York City, and I think they should do some courses on this based on what you are doing. So some more partnerships for you.
Well, Deborah, what's great about Empowering NYC, we have a webpage. So our webpage is located on nyc.gov/empowered NYC. And we do not only have information about how to make an appointment, but we also have information about micro trainings provided by NDI. We have the webinars that are Empowerment ED webinars that go through a host of topics relating to financial empowerment. So all that information is available and free to anyone, no matter where you live. You could access that web page, and it's a wealth of financial information that is particularly geared towards disability related issues and financial situations that people with disabilities might encounter.
Wow, that's so powerful. We'll definitely make sure that we provide those links in any of our marketing and on our webpage where the show is going to be listed. So because that's cool that you are doing that. So you're not only benefiting people with disabilities in New York City, but the rest of us can benefit from this as well.
Yes.
So what is your hope for the next step? I have this beautiful scarf that Rosemary gave me for Christmas, and it keeps sliding off. So I'm sorry to keep messing with my scarf.
So my hope is to continue to empower New Yorkers with disabilities and their families, and to promote learning more and um, feeling strong about your knowledge of finances and having more control of the financial decisions that are made. And you can feel like you can and be basically the name of our program, feel empowered. So that's my goal.
And that's a great goal. And one more question that I'm going to ask you to tell people how they can find you on social media, and once again repeat that website. But what are you hearing from other New Yorkers with disabilities about this program?
Well, like I said, I hear very positive feedback. Uh, People say they're so happy to have it. They never knew something like this could exist for people with disabilities. Uh, Oftentimes they say, "Oh my God, I wish this was available before. I wish you could have this." They want to refer friends. They hear what we've been doing for people, and they go, "Oh my, I have a friend that has that issue. I'm gonna give them the website, or I'm gonna tell them how to get there." Like oftentimes in my presentations, I hear now people come to me and they go, "Oh my gosh, I need this because I went through this 2 years ago. I wonder if they could still help me," or different type of things like that. Basically, most excitement and like really hopeful reactions we get.
Wow, that's powerful. And there's so many ways not understanding our finances can get us in trouble. If we have bad credit, it can affect us being able to get jobs. It can affect our insurance rates. It can affect whether or not we get loans. There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to financial empowerment.
Yes, and
So
oftentimes could be overwhelming too.
I agree. I know it can be very overwhelming. I know that when I was younger, when I would get low on cash or something, I would accidentally bounce a check, and then all of a sudden you've bounced 8 checks, and you have all those fees, and you were already broke to begin with, and now you have all of these. I mean, there's unfortunately, if you don't understand how finances work, you can get in really bad trouble, and you can lose everything. And we see it happening. And unfortunately, people with disabilities, it happens to a little bit more often than other parts of our, society. I think that's why a program like this is critical, and it needs to be everywhere. It needs to be throughout the United States, and it needs to be throughout the world, because people with disabilities deserve to have the same lives as people without disabilities. We are just
Absolutely.
people, and we add value. So I applaud everything you're doing, what the mayor's office doing, city supporting this, all of the groups that you mentioned, because this is the way we change the world. We come together, we partner, and we include, and we empower everyone. So I really appreciate it, Crystal. So Crystal, tell us about, are you on social media? And if you don't mind repeating the website again.
Yes, we are. We are on social media. We have a website. Our website is nyc.gov/empowered NYC, but we are on social media through the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection. We often have a post available on Twitter and Facebook. We also have a marketing campaign that is available, and the Twitter is NYC or ENYCDCA at Twitter
Okay.
and Instagram.
Okay, cool. And an
And
Instagram
we
page.
have a
Yay.
Facebook as well. Mhm.
And what we'll do is we'll include all these links because it's hard to remember them all. I mean,
Yes,
Chris is saying them, but it's just hard to remember. And there's something beautiful about writing them down so we can just click on it. So,
yes,
um,
absolutely.
yes. And I want to give you the last word if there's anything else that you want to say. But first of all, thank y'all for what you're doing because this is a game changer for people with disabilities, really finding independence.
I just want to encourage everyone to please make an appointment. You can call 311 and you can visit our webpage. You can make an appointment online. There is no income that is too little or too big for Empowered NYC. You can feel free to ask any questions you may have. It's all about understanding, inclusivity, empowerment. So please don't be shy to make an appointment. And I would encourage everyone that financial empowerment starts with one appointment and just to feel free to reach out to us for more information.
And I would say, just because this is a national and global program, this program right now is for individuals with disabilities in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I could just see a lot of us, including me, wanting to call and get information. Because even though it's specific to New York City, a lot of this good data can be taken and applied in other places. But this right now is for New York City.
Yes,
But as Crystal mentioned, there's really good resources, including webinars and stuff that are out on their website that we all can use. So, and they are going to expand this. And so we'll watch for their expansions. And as y'all expand, Crystal, definitely let me know so I can come back to the audience and say, okay, now they're empowered in Chicago and Richmond and Los Angeles and every other place in the United States, and then we'll start doing it around the world too, because it's very, very important to understand our finances.
absolutely. And there will definitely be more to come because, as I said, we are the first of the empowered cities. So, as more cities launch, I would be happy to keep you updated. DCA would be happy to keep you updated. And we would love to spread the word.
Yes, and we will help. And Crystal, compliments to you. You are a beautiful speaker and you have been leading for years, and we are really grateful for your leadership and the entire team and everybody that's supporting this program. So thank you for that too.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we're going to say bye for now, but I will make sure that we give you updates and we'll make sure that you all have the links. But let's all get behind Empowered New York City and encourage other cities and other countries and other states across the board to join these efforts, because this is a way forward. We're celebrating next year 30 years of the Americans with Disabilities Act. We need programs like Empowered New York City to keep us moving forward. So thank you, Crystal, and thanks to your team.
Absolutely, Deborah. Thank you for having us.
All right, bye everyone.